Okay, so this is the third part of my lecture series. So people are asking me why are you lecturing? Hindi ka naman labor arbiter, hindi ka naman NLRC commissioner, hindi ka naman nagtatrabaho sa DOLE, hindi ka naman book writer, hindi ka naman din. I just tell them because I'm a labor law practitioner. 30 something years. I smell, I eat, I breathe labor laws, and kung tatanungin niyo yung qualification ko as a reviewer, I mean, actually, according to the bar bulletin, the bar questions must refer to questions that deals with a issues, problems concerning yung day-to-day practice of a ordinary lawyer. So I would say siguro, yun ang qualification ko. Dahil ako, 95% of my cases are labor related. So yun. There was just a week ago, a client, a recruitment agency asked me kung ano daw ang dapat nilang gawin doon sa problema nila. Merong silang dineploy na tao sa Qatar. After 1 week, pinauwi. Bakit pinauwi? Dahil meron daw sakit. Eh sabi ko, di ba merong pre-employment medical examination? Eh nagano daw, nag-misrepresent. Hindi daw niya inamin na totoong may sakit siya. Eh sabi ko, maski na hindi siya nagsabi ng truthful statement do sa question and answer form, do sa kanyang pre-employment examination medical exam, dapat yung clinic, this by the way, must be a DOH accredited clinic, dapat hindi pa rin siya na sinertify na fit to work. Kasi pag clinic ka, hindi pwedeng clinic ka lang. Dapat makakakuha ka ng DOH accreditation or certification na pwede kang mag-PEME. Tawag dyan, PEME, Pre-Employment Medical Examination. Pag yung Pre-Employment Medical Examination certificate, dapat i-honor yan ng mga foreign employer. Pinapunta ka sa Qatar, sinabing fit to work, pagdating doon, sabi nung Qatar, hindi ka fit to work, umuwi ka, hindi na sila pwedeng mag-deploy sa Qatar. Yung foreign employer na yon. Dapat i-honor nila yung PEME certificate ng DOH accredited clinic or hospital. Pag hindi nila in-honor yon, pwede silang mabar. Ayun yon. Ngayon, on the part naman of the DOH accredited clinic or hospital, pag nagkamali sila, within 15 days, pagdating sa abroad niyan, pagdating doon may sakit pala, sinertify nilang uh, walang sakit. Ang liability nila under the law, the Migrant Workers Act, is that sila ang mag-shoulder ng repatriation cost at saka all damages yung ospital o yung clinic. Kaya dapat gagawin nila yung trabaho nila. Hindi lang sasabihin nila na, okay, mayroong question and answer. Diba? Nagkaroon ng misrepresentation yung employee, nagsinungaling. Hindi pwedeng ganon. Ngayon, going back to the question of my client, sabi nila, sir, kasi alam mo, yung mga taga-Qatar, ganun talaga sila eh. Pagdating doon, sabi nila, may sakit daw. Sabi ko, pinakita ba nila sa doktor? Hindi daw. Sabi ko, ang batas rin, ay Supreme Court decision natin ang sinasabi, the determination of whether an employee is sick is not vested on the employer. Otherwise, pwede siyang magkaroon ng arbitrary dismissal. Makagawa siya ng arbitrary dismissal. Sasabihin niya lang, may sakit ka, umuwi ka. Dapat yan, merong pa ring doktor doon na titingin doon sa empleyado kung may sakit nga o wala. Pagkatapos, kung sinabi ng doktor doon, merong sakit, yung empleyado, pwede siyang kumuha ng sarili niyang doktor, pwede siyang pumunta sa polo at mag-seek siya ng medical assistance sa polo. And then, kung magkaroon ng conflict dun sa doktor ng empleyado at saka yung doktor ng foreign employer, ang dapat gagawin, magkakaroon sila ng third doctor para magsabi kung mali, kung may sakit nga o wala yung empleyado. Ngayon, assuming na meron ngang sakit, di ba? May sakit. Okay, establish na may sakit. Tama ba yung ginawa ng employer na within 1 week, pinauwi na kagad? Well, mali pa rin. Kasi lahat ng mga empleyado na nagpupunta, lahat ng workers na pupunta sa abroad, meron silang tinatawag na, dati ang tawag doon eh, POEA, Standard Employment Contract. Ano yung POEA Standard Employment Contract? Ngayon ata DMW Standard Employment Contract. Doon nakalagay yung terms and conditions nung employment. And very particular doon na ang employee ay merong sick leave at merong vacation leave. So, tama ba na tinanggal kagad yung employee dahil may sakit? Hindi. Dahil doon sa contract niya, which is a DMW standardized contract, meron siyang sick leave. In other words, pwede mo na siyang mag-absent kung ilan man yung sick leave na yan, which is usually 15 days. Diba? 15 days siyang mag-a-absent, magpapagaling siya, at sisweldohan siya kasi sick leave yun eh. Hindi dapat siya pinauwi kagad. Ngayon, kung hindi kung na-consume na niya yung 15 days, meron pa siyang vacation leave. Yung vacation leave naman niya ang pwede niya ring gamitin. So, hindi pa rin, uy, may sakit ka, uwi ka na. Hindi ganon. Sick leave, vacation leave. Ngayon, assuming na-consume na yung sick leave, saka vacation leave, meron pa tayong tinatawag na SSS benefit on sickness allowance benefit. Diba? Ibig sabihin nun, kung ang empleyado ay nagbabayad ng at least 3 contributions sa SSS for the last 12 months preceding his sickness, pwede siyang sabihin niya, hindi ako magtatrabaho, ang magsisweldo sa akin yung SSS. For 120 days, he will get a sickness allowance equivalent to 90% of his salary. Yung SSS benefit yan, nakukuha na yan kung merong SSS contribution, yung employee, tinatapatan niya ng employer ng SSS contribution din. So, ang tanong, sabi sa akin ng kliyente ko, Sir, OFW yan. Wala naman kaming SSS. Actually, maski na OFW, may SSS. So, kung halimbawa natapos na yung sick leave, tapos yung vacation leave, SSS na, papasok 120 days. Ngayon, kung hindi pa rin talaga siya magaling, pwede na pang magtanggal. Ang certification galing from the medical experts, from the doctor, is that 6 months yung sakit niya, hindi pwedeng gumaling. Kung 6 months, hindi siya pwedeng gumaling, di ba? Within the 6 months period, pwede siyang isuspinde. Provided wala na siyang wala nang sweldo 'yon kasi no work, no pay. No work, no pay na-consume mo na yung SL mo, yung sick leave mo, yung vacation leave mo, and na-consume mo na rin yung SSS sickness benefit mo. Ngayon, hindi ka pa rin magaling, suspended ka, no work, no pay. Kung talagang after 6 months, ang certification is that hindi ka pa rin pwedeng gumaling, dapat ka nang pauwiin. Pero dapat kang babayaran ng separation pay. 1 month per year of service or 1/2 month for each year of service whichever is higher. So mag-a-apply naman na dito yung batas natin sa sickness under the labor code, mag-a-apply. Hindi ba dapat mag-apply yan dahil siya OFW? Hindi. Mag-a-apply pa rin yung ating sickness law even if he is an OFW. So kaya ko lang na-mention to, sabi ko lang kasi, pupunta na tayo dito sa SSS, Social Security System, the ECP, yung Employees Compensation Program, and GSIS. Actually, yung GSIS hindi masyado. Kasi administrative law yan eh. Kaya lang, hindi nyo ma-appreciate, hindi nyo maiintindihan itong ECP, yung Employees Compensation Program, yung SSS, and GSIS kung hindi natin i-intertwine, kung hindi natin pagsasama-samahin. So, the common question as of my client, sir, namatay po yung tao ko or na-aksidente, nagkasakit, may babayaran po ba ako? I always tell them, palagi ko sinasabi sa kanila, generally, wala. Generally, wala. As long as you insure them sa ECP, sa SSS. They are insured as long as you are paying the contributions for the ECP, the SSS, and PhilHealth. In that way, the employer in general has no obligation to the employee in the event of his death, accident, or sickness. Eh sir, bakit to? Nagbabayad do kami ng, may namatay, nagbibigay kami ng tulong. May nagkasakit, may aksidente, nagbibigay kami ng tulong. At sabi ko, kung nagbibigay na kayo ng tulong, di nyo na pwedeng ah, tanggalin yon because there will be a violation of the diminution of benefits principle na ang isang benepisyo kung ibinibigay mo na as a matter of industry practice, hindi mo na pwedeng tatanggalin. Pero kung hindi kayo nagbibigay ng burial benefits, ng death benefits, accident, sickness benefits, hindi kayo compelled dahil nga meron silang SSS at meron silang ECP at meron silang PhilHealth. So yung ECP, Employees Compensation Program, is not the same as SSS. It's not the same as PhilHealth and GSIS. It is an agency that is in line with SSS, PhilHealth, and GSIS. Pero actually, nag-supervise rin yan. I think is SSS pa rin yung ECP. Pero iba yan. Iba yung makukuha mo under the ECP, iba yung makukuha mo under the SSS. So, meron bang exclusiveness of benefit rule? If you are in the private sector, you can recover from the ECP and the SSS. There is double recovery. Nagkasakit ka, punta ka sa ECP, kuha ka ng sickness benefit. Punta ka ng SSS, kuha ka ng sickness benefit. Namatay, pwedeng burial sa ECP, pwedeng burial sa SSS. But for government employees, isa lang ang pipiliin mo. You can either go to the ECP or you can go to the GSIS because there is an exclusiveness of benefit for GSIS and ECP. So, what is the exclusiveness of benefit rule? It's a rule, applies only to SS, so private employees, not for government employees. It says that for ECP, for benefits, sickness, burial, accident, you can go and recover from the ECP as well as the SSS. But if you're in government, you can only get one. And that is why it's called exclusiveness of benefit. In general, ganun yun ha. So, who pays? Para lang malaman natin, sino ang nagbabayad nitong contributions. Unlike in SSS and GSIS, no amount is deducted from the employee for the ECP. It is only the employer who pays the ECP contribution. Kaya ito, yung contribution sa ECP, hindi niyo yan makikita sa payslip nyo. Kasi wala kayong binabayaran yan. Ang nagbabayad lang yan, yung inyong employer. That's why so many employees are not even aware of the ECP. So, meron kayong kamag-anak, kaibigan, sabihin nyo, kung na-aksidente, namatay, nagkasakit, wag lang SSS ang puntahan nyo. Punta rin kayo sa ECP. Magtanong to sa HR ng kumpanya kung nagbabayad sila ng ECP contribution. So, importante to kung sino ang nagbabayad. Again, let me repeat. Unlike the SSS and GSIS, no amount is deducted from the employee for ECP. Okay. When does the coverage starts? Kailan nagsisimula tong benefits na to? Are we talking about the ECP? If we're talking about the ECP, ang coverage niyan, yung benefit niyan is already available on your first day of work. Parang yung ano yan yung benefit of a regular employee, it is available on your first day of work. Pwede sabihin na, hindi wala ka pang 6 months, wala ka pang 180 days. No. On your first day of work, available na yung ECP. I-benefit sa ECP. Kung ba, nagkasakit ka, na-aksidente ka, namatay ka, on your first day, available na yan. If you get sick or was involved in an injury, there is loss of income benefit and medical benefit. What is medical? Yung loss of income. Bigay yung sweldo mo. Yung medical benefit, yung reimbursement of your medical expenses. On the first day, if you die, there is death and funeral benefit. Benefits yan. What about for SSS and GSIS? So, kailan nagsisimula yung coverage? Hindi ko na masyadong i-discuss yung GSIS. Minimension ko lang para for clear understanding. Pero ang coverage ng SSS, yung sa GSIS, wag na kasi, admin law yan. Yung SSS, the coverage starts depending on the amount of contribution. Depending on the amount of contribution. So, i-discuss natin yan mas maliwanag as we go on. And what are ito palaging nagkakatanong dito sa ECP at SSS, mga isa o dalawa. Diba? Pandagdag lang to. And yung analysis ko do sa mga previous bar exam, ano ba ang tanong sa ECP and SSS? Ano yung tatlong paulit-ulit dito? Ang paulit-ulit dito na tanong ay tatlong categories lang. First, is the individual covered by the program? Yung person niya, covered ba siya ng program? Second, is the condition covered by the program? Yung condition, the happening, yung condition ba, yung sitwasyon niya, covered by the program? And third, has the claim prescription? So after, okay ba takot kung hindi nyo talaga nabasa tong ECP tsaka SSS? Kung gusto nyo basahin, kasang kapal yan, yung haba. Pero kung gusto nyo mag-rely na lang dito sa lecture ko, marami naman nagsasabi, sir, tungkol sa ECP tsaka SSS, yung lecture ko na pinakinggan namin, mukhang nag-okay naman. So, balik tayo. When is an individual covered? Well, discuss natin to. An individual is covered only if there is an employer-employee relationship. Kung empleyado siya, covered siya. Kung hindi siya empleyado, hindi siya covered. If there is no employer-employee relationship, the person is not covered by the ECP, SSS, or GSIS. So, didiscuss natin yung employer-employee relationship next time. Diba? Pero kung, again, kung independent contractor siya, kung partner siya, kung agent lang siya, walang employer-employee relationship, walang coverage. So, makakita kayo ng question about ECP or SSS, forget about GSIS, hindi magtatanong dyan, dahil admin nyo lang. Ang atakihin nyo kaagad, is there an employer-employee relationship? If you have determined that there is an employer-employee relationship, ang susunod na itanong nyo sa sarili nyo ay, is the condition covered? For ECP, usually determine if the condition is covered. Ang itatanong nyo, covered ba yung condition? For ECP, ang simpleng tanong lang dyan is the condition work-related or not? Is it work-related or not? For GSIS, iba yung may variables dyan. Pero for ECP, pag yung condition is work-related, covered. Assuming na may employer-employee relationship. Kung hindi work-related, when I say is the condition work-related, tanong nyo, nung namatay ba, nagtatrabaho? Nung na-aksidente ba, nagtatrabaho? Nung nagkasakit ba, nagtatrabaho? So, is the condition is death? Is the death, the accident, the injury, work-related? Yun ang tanongin nyo. Kasi kung hindi yan work-related, the condition will not be covered. Iba yung sa SSS. Now, who are covered employees? Sino ba yung mga employees na covered? Even foreign companies and multinationals are supposed to be registering themselves before the employees compensation program. Maski na foreign companies and multinational. Diba yung mga malalaking kumpanya dyan sa Ortigas o sa Makati, dapat nag-ECT pa rin sila. In fact, even religious organizations, non-stock, non-profit, non-governmental organizations, yung mga charitable, kailangan nagre-register pa rin sila sa ECP. Ang hindi lang covered dyan, yung mga foreign employee companies of foreign government. Ay mga not companies, yung foreign governments like yung mga US Embassy, Chinese Embassy, yung mga nagtatrabaho diyan, hindi sila covered ng ECP. Rundown lang, ano yung mga benefits that are common in ECP, SSS, and GSIS. Ang mnemonic ko dyan yung SIDD. Ano yung SIDD? Sickness, injury, death, or disability. Sickness, injury, death, or disability benefits. Yun yung SIDD. Meron bang SIDD when I continue my lecture later on? Telling nyo na meron bang SIDD. Ang ibig ko sabihin niya, sickness benefit, injury benefit, injury or accident benefits, death or disability benefits. Yung mga ganitong mnemonic, maganda yan sa ilagay nyo sa inyong answer. Kapag nagdi-discuss kayo, you do not say na is entitled to certain to the benefit by law. Sabihin nyo, he's entitled to sickness, injury, death, or disability benefits. Parang pahaba, pas magandang tingnan para pag-examine na sabihin, ang galing ng batang to. These are the common benefits sa SSS tsaka sa ECP. Actually, ganun rin yung sa GSIS. Again, what is the basis of the benefits given to the employee? Ano yung basis? Saan nanggagaling itong mga benepisyong to? Motherhood statement. This is magic words. ECP. For ECP, the employee receive benefits by reason of their membership. Just because empleyado ka, just because member ka listed ka as a member in the ECP program, nilista ka ng employer mo, automatic you are entitled to the benefit. Again, memorize this. For ECP, employees receive benefits by reason of their membership in the ECP program. For SSS and GSIS, they are entitled to their benefits by reason of their contributions. So magkaiba. SSS at GSIS, member ka nga ng SSS at GSIS, wala ka namang contribution, hindi ka entitled dun sa benefit ng SIDD. Sa ECP, hindi ka naman talaga nagko-contribute doon. Kaya, by reason of your membership, entitled ka na. Who are covered by ECP but not by the GSIS. Pagaling nyo lang alam. Although, sabi ko nga, admin law to. The ECP covers all employees, even those working in the AFP, PNP, and member of the judiciary, and casual employees which are not covered by the GSIS. Mind you, ang GSIS, ordinaryong government employee yan. Kung halimbawa, empleyado kayo ng AFP, PNP, o judiciary, hindi kayo covered ng GSIS kasi mayroong sariling pondo yan. But still, maski na meron silang sariling pondo, diba, covered pa rin kayo ng ECP. Diba? Kaya nga lang, be worried about the exclusiveness of benefit rule. Who are not covered by the ECP but are covered by the SSS, may halos lahat. In general, all people, all workers are covered by the SSS. But there are people, there are workers who are only covered by the SSS, but they are not covered by the ECP. And these are self-employed people and domestic helpers. Nakakaawa talaga yung mga kasambahay na yan. We will discuss later na sila yung pinakamababang uri ng tao. Covered sila ng SSS. Dati nga hindi sila covered ng SSS. Pero hindi pa rin sila covered ng ECP. Domestic helpers. Kung ikaw yung amo, di ba? Empleyado ko yan, kasambahay ko yan eh. Di ba? Kailangan ko bang i-register yan sa ECP? Hindi. I-register mo lang sila SSS. Di ba? Wag naman parang kasambahay. Well, sa akin dapat. Sinabi na ng batas na under the kasambahay law na cover sila ng SSS. Dapat kinover na lang nila sa ECP. And self-employed. Yung self-employed, hindi yan covered ng ECP kasi wala naman sila employer. Is there an age limit? For ECP, you can claim SIDD benefits. No age limit. Maski na 95 years old ka na, maski na 100 years old ka na, pwede ka pa rin mag-claim ng SIDD sa ECP. But for SSS, you can only claim SSS if you're if you must not be over 60 years of age. So, yun. Must not be over 60 years of age. So, at 30 minutes na ulit, more or less, hindi kasi ko pwedeng mag-exceed ng 30 minutes eh. As a matter of diligence, at 29 minutes kinakat ko na. So, I'll be back on my fourth lecture. Cut muna tayo.